countdown to the last comic shop in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Listen, kids, I tried embezzling all the funds so we couldn't pay for web hosting for another year. But Andy caught me.
We still had enough. I saved some under the mattress. Just put it under there. It was my reserve fund. But we are back for a 4th season. Yay! 4 seasons of the Last Comic Shop podcast. Where we do what, J.A.?
We jumped the shark. This is the season where we jumped the shark, right?
Oh, we have sharks?
Jump the shark? What does that mean?
Didn't you ever know about Fonzie? It was when Happy Days decided to go downhill. They put the Fonz in a leather coat. He was on water skis and he jumped over a shark. And so now that's the saying whenever a show.
That's when the show went downhill?
That's when
the show had gone downhill, and that was the stunt to try to bring the audience back.
See, I thought that was when it starts going downhill. Although they did the stunt because I heard Henry Winkler was a wonderful water skier.
Well, there you go.
In real life.
Yeah. And now they've kind of changed that ever since Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull came out. Now they call it Nuke the Fridge because of the fridge scene. So that's jumping the shark and nuking the fridge. And I am the host with the most. I didn't jump no shark. I'm Andy Larson. I'm joined by my wonderful wife, Nicole Larson, on today's program, as well as people that are not my wife, and that would be J.A. Scott and Chad Smith.
Yeah, we're keeping the shop open for people to talk about sharks and fridges. And sharks and fridges. No, that's a different show. I've never had shark. Is it tasty?
It's very salty.
When have you had shark?
I had a life before you.
No. No, you didn't.
J.A., you've had shark, right? You've had shark. Come on, you've had shark.
I have, yes.
It's salty, right?
I think you all have had shark. You just don't know it because it was probably called mahi-mahi or barracuda.
I was going to say, do we just call it tuna and it's all caught in the same nets?
The new season of this show has really started on a weird level. Just letting y'all know.
That's true. But we've got to keep that energy up because on today's program, we are fulfilling a promise that we made on a previous show. A long time ago, we put out a poll where it was right after the Eisners in 2023. And we were like, what books should we read based on Eisner Award winners? And Public Domain won out. And nobody listened to that show. So we're going to try again with Ducks, 2 Years in the Oil Sands by Kate Beaton. And this did win an award, right, Chad?
Yeah. So in 2023, it won an Eisner Award for Best Graphic Memoir. It also was listed amongst the American Library Association's top 10 and their 22 best graphic novels for adults. It won the 2023 edition of Canada Reads. So it has done a lot since it originally appeared early on in 2014 as a webcomic on Tumblr.
Oh, wow. I did not know that. But I will say this, that among its other accolades, it was also one of former President Obama's picks on the show, which is why I thought that Nicole would be excited, because she sometimes likes to look at Obama's read list and be like, I'll put those books on my list.
I do add many of his books to my read list.
So there you go. Plus the fact that this was J.A.'s pick. So if this one doesn't do well either, we have him to blame for all of our shortcomings. Luckily, he has all the X-Men picks, so it brings the fans back to the 10.
That's right.
J.A., what's the 10-cent synopsis for Ducks 2 Years in the Oil Sands? Is there a lot of oil, sands, ducks?
There are some ducks. There are a lot of oil sands. This takes place mainly in Alberta, Canada. It is a memoir of Katie Beaton. Basically, after she graduated from college, she had a crap load of student debt, something that a lot of people, probably many of our listeners, can relate to. And to pay off that debt, she had to go find a job. And at that time, this is, I think, 2008, 2007 in Canada, not a lot of jobs to be had. people remember there was a giant economic crisis brought on by Wall Street and their lending practices to strippers and other people buying houses. That's what I got.
Good movie, though.
Yes, that's what I got from The Big Short, is that strippers bought houses, and because of that, the financial crisis happened. Anyways, she got a job working in the Alberta oil sands, which is this location in the middle of nowhere in the middle of Canada where they are pumping water into the ground to bring oil out and doing all sorts of other stuff. And as one can imagine, it's not a pretty job. It's dirty, and it's primarily filled with men. She was a woman. So this is a memoir of her 2 years in camp, essentially. She worked mainly as a tool crib assistant and then in the back office for a while. But her experience sort of dealing with her job, dealing with the hyper masculinity of being in a situation where it's mainly just men. There is a lot of sexual harassment. I think a lot of it probably, I don't want to say unknown, but sort of just felt like it was part of the scene. And
it's part of the culture.
Part of the culture. People didn't know they were doing it or were more sort of unaware of it. And the book, when we'll get into it, the book doesn't give you easy answers on all of this. It's very much paints a picture of a culture and a job that changes people, at least when they're there in that situation, and changed her as well. So it's very much adult reading, as Chad alluded to. It's not something that you would...
Yeah, adult in terms of like serious themes and nuances and things that you have to think about. Not adult in like the dirty, pervy way.
Right. So so that's it. It's a memoir of 2 years of her working and sort of what she encountered in an industry, and it questions the industry itself as well a little bit. It gets into, what they're doing to the environment and these areas of the country that used to be owned by Native North Americans. I guess if you were going to relate it to a movie, it's a bit like what's that Charlize Theron movie that she made for Oscar bait?
Monster.
No, that's the one that she won.
North Country?
Yes, thank you.
That had a Bob Dylan song in it. You know what? I'm glad you brought up like the fact that like they did talk about how they got the oil out of the sands and stuff. Because honestly, that's what I thought this book was going to be about. I remember seeing the title "Ducks 2 Years in the Oil Sand," and I thought this was, and I think Chad thought so too, that it was going to be about some sort of environmental disaster thing where like she had gone there to clean up the oils, or she was part of,
right.
And to Jay's point, it's not really about the environmental impact of what they were doing. It was about more or less like, hey, I spent a lot of time in these camps, and it really changes a person, eh? That's what I got. No, I'm serious.
That's also, I would be remiss. That's where the title comes from. It comes from an incident where these ducks landed on a tailings pond because they were migrating and they saw a big thing of water. Oh, let's land there. Except the water was, of course, contaminated and they all died. And it created an international incident, and Greenpeace and various organizations were protesting these companies. So their answer was to put scarecrows and sound makers out around these ponds to try to scare the ducks away. Not to clean up the ponds, and that was kind of pointed out. Right. So they're not trying to clean up the ponds or
right.
be less.
No, scarecrow's cheaper option. Let's get some burlap and some old flannel shirts. We're fine. We'll make the workers do.
But that's the whole metaphor, though. And I don't want to jump too far ahead with this memoir, but it's about just as the environment is tearing up the land and destroying things for the ducks and for everyone else in the process of getting oil for, people to get rich, they're setting up these camps, and these camps are slowly, degrading these people and breaking them down to the point where they're being destroyed. in an effort to pay their student loans. It's a real
or to live. I mean, she was trying to pay her student loans, but they have many people who it was like, oh, I was a fisherman, or I was this, or I was that.
Yeah.
It's like the one guy's like, yeah, I'm a fisherman from Newfoundland. Oh yeah, how long have you been out here? 20 years.
Right. And that's how they have to support their families, and to get by. They're participating in these acts that
And there was a moment where she's talking to one of her superiors at one point, and he's like, "Well, why are you here? Like, it seems like you're doing a lot of complaining about like you don't have to be here." And she's like, "I got student loans," and he was like, "Are you feeding any mouths at home? Like, I get it, you have student loans, but like some of us are here because otherwise there's not food on the table." And it's true. It is a kind of an expose on whether it's, the oil sands or coal mining or timber or any of those kind of, because it didn't feel like at times you thought of it as like kind of like a company town, like they were all living in a company town like the early 1900s, and I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they're on location, and so you get these people that are away from their families. And so on one hand, that's where you get a lot of the problems that Kate encounters with her coworkers is they're not grounded by their families. It's like they're off. You can equate it to being away at school or being away on vacation, or, they're not acting the way they would normally act if they were in a normal society, because they're all cooped up in these camp towns.
Well, let's pivot to Nicole's thoughts on this, because again, simply put,
I'm the token woman, is what you.
I didn't mean
You're
it.
like, oh, this is a book by a woman. We have to have a woman on the show. Y'all did it. I know y'all did it.
Oh
But
man!
it's
And I just wanted your thoughts on this. As somebody that's read other books that President Obama has recommended, how would you rank this among Brock's picks?
I'm not going to lie. I struggled a little bit with this book. I found it a little verbose and boring at times. It's interesting. I thought the end of the book was the most intriguing with the native peoples, the land, and the talk about a lot of the workers being on drugs. And again, that isolationism and the breakdown of them and how they're not who they normally would be. And I thought that was more interesting than the first 200 pages of just her little vignettes that I couldn't even tell when she was changing people. I had a hard time even with the drawing. I hate to say it, like everyone looked the same to me. So it was hard to kind of really get to know certain characters. Like all the men kind of blend together. And maybe that's part of the point, is that they all kind of blended together, and there was a lot of bad behavior. So yeah, I mean, it was a little bit of a struggle. I wish some of the environmental stuff had been expounded on a little bit more. I thought that was more interesting than some of the other stuff. But as a woman, I know y'all are asking what I think about, the machismo and the catcalling and all of that type of stuff. And I think, a lot of what we were saying about the degradation of them, people aren't acting the way they normally would out of isolation and things. They were saying there's like 50 men to every one woman that was up there. I can certainly see how that would happen, and how she would be uncomfortable, especially being that she was presumably a pretty young woman at the time, right? She would have, actually, Chad, you said she's my age, right?
Yeah, she was just out of
now.
school.
Yeah, so she would have been pretty young at the time, and some of these men that were quite a bit older. I think it was a struggle for her being bored and things up there, and then when she did get into social situations, you had this added complexity of not knowing who you could trust really, or if you try to let your guard down, then some unfortunate things happen to girls in that situation. So, I mean, it was okay. It was just long. It was really... really long.
Yes. You know what? I have been on this show enough, and I've reviewed enough books on this show that I hope everybody knows when I say certain things, it's coming from the fact that I've read a lot of comics, and I've read comics from all kinds and all places. And simply put, for me, I think this was like 200 pages too long. I'm going to just flat out say it. And flat out say it on this show. I feel like this could have been trimmed down exponentially. There were pages that just seemed to like blend together.
And for everyone's knowledge, it was 430 pages.
Right. There were stories that seemed to just, and maybe that was the point that they repeated, but some of it I just didn't need. If the point was to expound upon like the isolation and the what she went through, I think this could have been a little more succinct.
I wonder if it would have been more impactful too. Again, getting through 200 pages of very kind of monotonous stuff, at least in my mind, maybe kind of made me just go through stuff faster as I was trying to complete the book. But I'm curious, since this was Jay's pick, if it lived up to everything that you thought it would be. And
it's interesting you say that, because I started reading it, and about the first 100 pages, I was like, okay. And then the 200 pages in, I was like, yeah, I don't know about this. This is not making me feel great about the whole male side of the human species at the moment, of which I am part of. 300 pages in, I was like, okay, I think I'm getting what she's laying down here. I'm seeing sort of the broader strokes within the story, seeing the forest within the trees. And then by the end, I really enjoyed it. I understood, I think, that whole sort of middle section that seemed to just be the same ideas, but in a different location over and over again, I think was her. I mean, A, it's her memoir, so it's what she experienced. But B, it's her way of showing that it wasn't just a one-off. This is a pervasive experience across a culture of these camps.
Well, she did have to deal with it for 2 years. So, I mean, I guess 200 pages, right? I mean, so again, if you're really trying to capture what your 2 years there were like, then it probably was freaking monotonous, right? And it was probably really freaking annoying, which I think she did convey that very well, that it was just really tough to put up with. I also did struggle, especially when she started working in the office, and there was her and I forget the girl's name, but they looked almost the same. It was just one had wavy hair and Lindsay.
one had she had wavy hair, and the other girl had very straight hair.
I think Lindsay was the one with glasses. I could actually tell who she was.
Well, but sometimes Katie would wear glasses.
That's
true.
Where the
confusion
sometimes
came in.
And Katie most of the time had a braid. And that's where, I mean, one of the things, just to skip over onto the art, cartoony, it's just black and white pencil drawings. I don't know, color.
Monochromatic. It was monochromatic.
Yeah, like, I don't know, even to have the guys in like different shirts that were somewhat recognizable as like, oh, that's that guy. Because there were some really sweet guys. Let's talk about some of the sweet guys, right, who really stood up for her. And the one guy who gave her the picture of the...
Yeah, what happened to Mike? Mike seemed like a stand-up guy. Mike seemed to be all right. And then, like, Mike was in, like, the first couple... And then then Mike disappears, and then Mike shows up in, like, 2 panels at the end. And I was just like, aw, poor Mike.
Maybe
never had a chance.
He was at a different camp. Maybe they were just friends. Just because he's a nice guy doesn't mean they need to get together. I think that's also the point.
You're right.
Let's not put our romantic notions of Hollywood on this woman. Just because there's a nice guy in camp as opposed to all the assholes, she needs to be with that nice guy. Maybe she doesn't need to be with anyone.
Well, Chad, you've been fairly quiet. Before we get to ratings, any last thoughts from you, sir?
Yeah, this one is a tough one for me because I see all the things about how this is a very nuanced book. I agree with that, and the subject matter that they're dealing with. I don't think we've mentioned the R word, but there are multiple instances where she's raped in this book, and they are not easily. They're nuanced scenarios. Let's put it that way.
And the way she explains it is devastating. I found that first time where
she just leaves her body.
Yes.
No, that was the second time.
That's the second one? Okay.
The first time was just the empty hallway, which I thought was actually they were both powerful images, but like that empty hallway where she's just like walking around in a daze, like after it happens, and like she's just looking down empty hallways of doors.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, as an extended metaphor of, isolation and loneliness and, what happens when people are in these scenarios, like, this book, ticks all those boxes. And I'm sure if I had had a lot of experience with the author, either, through her work or like knew her as a person, I would be more appreciative of like how brave it is to put this story out there. As it stands, like, it was just a long story about malaise and student loans and terrible things happening that involved good people, where at the end we're like, oh, they're not all bad people just because bad things happened. And like, man, was this a downer. This one was tough for me. I struggled, and I don't want to take away from any of the things that make it an important book or make it what it is, but whew, boy, there was just an absence of joy throughout the entire book. I really genuinely struggled with. By the end, I was very happy to be done. Very happy to have finished this one.
Say, we should throw out there a word of caution. Don't get your degree in whatever she got her degree in. No, I mean, I think that's something that has changed a lot since the time that she experienced this. And I think really since COVID, right? I think college is going to be a different thing for our kids than it was for us, coming through. I think a lot of people are questioning the need to even go, given the vast information that's out there in the internet and the number of jobs that you can have that pay very well that don't require degrees. And I think getting a degree in art or whatever, while I get the people that want to work in that industry, I think, going into all this debt is something that's obviously been in the news a lot in the U.S. with
but Nicole, there's always going to be a need for oil sands, not oil sands, some other way. The people will plug away and rob nature of its spoils and degrade things and become degraded to themselves.
Good grief.
Live in a society where the rich get richer and the poor get pummeled upon, and everything ends up miserable, and we just wait for the shallow release of death.
Come on, let's get to ratings. 1 out of 4 scale. J.A. Scott's going to give it to us for Ducks, 2 years in the oil sands. What do you got for us, J.A.?
We'll just say we'll give 1 out of 4 ducks. So the ducks.
Dead ducks are live.
The dead ducks from the oil.
That was a nice
Dead
duck
ducks.
sound. Didn't you hear that wasn't dead. That wasn't a dead duck. That was a very happy duck. It wasn't anywhere near the oil sand.
Did they call her Ducky at one point?
I don't think so. They did call her something related to from Cape Breton, where she's from.
Yeah. So I'm going to go first. And as Chad alluded to, with the fact that, like, boy, this was a lot of malaise and real deep thoughts and things like that. And there will never be a shortage of folks that will basically destroy the environment to make money. There's also going to be never a shortage of folks that have experiences right out of college where they have a really crappy job. Like, that actually was the biggest thing that I took from it, and it actually was the thing that I related to the most, as I couldn't relate to a lot of the other things in this book. What I could relate to is the fact that out of college, I worked a really crappy job, and I worked really terrible hours, and to this day, that experience lives with me, the good, the bad, the folks that I met. Some of these people that in this crappy job had been doing that crappy job for years. And I knew that it was kind of like a stepping stone for me. And I came out of college with like a degree in crap, which was communications. I didn't know what the hell I was going to do with that. So I didn't have a plan, but I worked this really, really terrible job. And it molded me into the person that I am.
And didn't you leave that job when you met me?
Yeah, I did. See?
A path to higher.
See? A path that leads. So there's always a bright side to all of this. And hopefully, again, Kate Beaton has now won an Eisner. So obviously the trajectory upwards for her.
Yeah, but she didn't need a college degree for this. She could have just saved herself.
Oh, but I do think that this could have been a lot less verbose. It could have been more succinct, and it could have cut up probably at least 100 pages. I understand why she maybe wanted to tell the entire story. Like, I understand why she told the story about going to that place and being the librarian part-time. I guess it's to reinforce the fact that this was her only option, was to work in the oil sands. I guess, maybe.
No, it's to show the difference between like real life and camp life.
Yeah, but she worked a crappy job there too. She worked in a supermarket. It was like she was getting yelled at by customers. That's a crap job too. She got fired for somebody yelling at. Whatever. I just
anyway. What's your rating?
It's like 2.5. It's better than average, but it was way too long. Had it been like, again, 100 pages shorter, maybe it'd have been a 3. Because I think the points that she was making and some of the big points that we raised on today's program would have been more laser focused instead of kind of all over the place. Chad.
Yeah.
I'm glad he put you on the spot next to that.
So yeah, like I said, this one was tough for me. Because of the mature themes, because it's about the exploitation of people and what happens. It's about the exploitation of the land and what happens. It's about how we'll stick up for people that are in these positions because we want to justify it, and all of those things. We mentioned that all these difficult situations and the fact that we have 400 some pages here to live through it with Kate. It is a thing, and primarily, like, it just made me feel bad a lot. Like, I like to think of myself as a good person, but I know I've been out there sometimes where I'm away from the rest of society with the, group of friends or at a camp, and like, I don't know, there's that mob mentality where like, I've never done anything near what's happened in this book, but like, you'll say things you wouldn't say, if your mom was around. I don't know where I'm going with this. But this just made me feel bad about everything, about who did I say something to in the years past where I thought, I'm making a funny joke, or like, it's all in good fun. And man, there wasn't anything in here in good fun. It was all just terrible, exploitative, terrible stuff. Oh, it's tough. It's tough as a reader, as a customer. On this end of the equation, to be like, your memoir is too long, but it was. It's tough to be like, your personal experiences lacked joy, and but they did. At the same time, like, there are like I said, there are important things going on here. So I am super torn. Did not like this at all. Would not recommend. But if you are into super important books, go for it. I'm going to say 2.5 ducks that I'm hoping are still alive and have gone somewhere else to pay off their student loans.
All right. We're going to kick it over to Nicole next. Nicole, what's your rating?
So I feel like you guys are being, I don't know, maybe I'm being really harsh. I was going to go with 2 ducks. That was my initial thing, so I'm not going to let you guys sway me. I think in the end, what we're all saying is that she identified and discussed important themes that were quite serious. I think the problem for me with this book is that it didn't translate well. I don't want to say in this medium per se, but like it didn't quite get there for me. Like, the stuff was there. There's stuff I wish she had expounded on more. There was stuff I wish she had pulled back on more. I just didn't feel like it really grabbed me. And I think, I read plenty of sad books about sad things, about serious things. And I think this one just didn't work for me. So I'm going to go with 2 live ducks.
Good.
That being said, I hope she continues to write, and she's obviously got some talent, and like I said, I just didn't think this one was for me. I hope Obama liked it better.
Okay. Well, it was J.A.'s pick. Was J.A. like Obama and loved this book?
I can't lie and say I loved it, but I did appreciate it. One thing we didn't mention, now most of the book is very cartoony, as we said, and sort of 9-panel grids or 6-panel grids, 7-panel grids. But occasionally, and usually at the beginning of chapters where she goes to a new location, she would give you a full page, really intricate, in-depth drawing of that camp or that location, where she did that also with the Northern Lights. The one time I was wishing there was more color in the book was when she drew the monochromatic Northern Lights, which then I thought maybe that's why she did it as well. Sort of the play on, how beautiful this is, but it all looks the same to us. It looks very much like the camp. We are unable to see the beauty. I don't know. Maybe that's too meta. But I came to appreciate the art. At the beginning, I was sort of, this is very cartoony. I'm not so into it. And as it grew on me, and as I said, especially those giant single page panels that she would occasionally throw in, I thought were incredible. The subject matter is not easy to get through, as we've all said. I'm not going to repeat ad nauseum what everyone else has said. I'll just say that I give it 3.25. I think I read it over a week. It's not something that you can just sit down and read in one sitting. I think that would be heavy, too heavy.
Reading it on a family vacation was a mistake.
All right. Well, we'll be right back with more of The Last Comic Shop, and it won't be a mistake for you to stick around to listen to what we have in store for you right after this.
LastComicShopPodcast.com is the destination for all things shop. Plan your week with upcoming show schedules, the latest books, recommendations, and chatter from the crew. Subscribe to the show on all major podcasting platforms from one convenient location. Show your support and browse the merch store. T-shirts, tanks, hoodies for the fam, coffee mugs, magnets, totes, and more. Check out exclusive content through the show's YouTube channel and follow the pod on Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, and others. All this and so much more at www.lastcomicshoppodcast.com. www.lastcomicshoppodcast.com.
Hey, it's Mikey Wood, frequent Last Comic Shop guest and collector. And as a collector, I'm always in need of boards, bags, long boxes, and more to house all those comics. That's why I use promo code LCSPOD to get 10% off my orders at bcwsupplies.com. Not only does it get me a discount on BCW's already low prices, but I know using LCSPOD at checkout is another way I can show my support to the Last Comic Shop podcast and their continuing mission to bring fans together under that big comic book tent. So if you're in need of comic book supplies, head out to bcwsupplies.com and use promo code LCSPOD today. That's LCSPOD.
Hello, my name is Tony Lynn. I am an aspiring poet with my first self-published book entitled, Well, Since You Asked. It is a collection of works that speaks to my journey through grief, single motherhood, and the dreaded dating after divorce. You can find my book on Amazon or reach out to me on all social media platforms under my name, Tony Lynn.
All right, we're back with more of The Last Comic Shop, and it is now time for a game. Yes, I thought to kick off season 4, we would have ducks, 2 years in the oil sands, and then everybody would need a pick-me-up. Right? So let's play a game. We used to do this all the time. We don't do it as much anymore, but that's probably because we don't have the wonderful Nicole Larson joining us on
Game host extraordinaire.
Yes, yes, I would say so. So this is a game we've played previously called Scenarios. That's right. It still has that crappy name. I didn't come up with a better one. For those folks that have never listened to this particular game on The Last Comic Shop before, the rules are as follows. Nicole is going to give some sort of scenario, like a question, like a thing that somebody would have to do, like, oh, I don't know, who would be the best comic book character to ride a sled? And we are all going to make our picks, J.A., Chad, and I. And after which, she's going to go around. She's going to give us a couple seconds to not only give our pick, but then be able to explain it in a way that will hopefully make her vote for ours as the winner of that round. We will be playing 5. So she's got 5 questions to ask the group. And the only other rule is once a character has been thrown out there, nobody else can use them for the rest of the game. So if Batman is used in the first round, no more Batmans. You've claimed Batman, and it doesn't matter if I did it, J.A. did it, Chad did it. Some Batman's been claimed, so you cannot throw out Batman as your answer. So we all good? Then
all good.
Let's rock and roll with that first scenario, Nicole Larson.
Alrighty then. So we have just all come through the holidays, so I hope everyone had a great holidays and a new year. So with that in mind, I know my kids enjoy getting their Legos for Christmas, and they seem to be on their list every year, and it's a nice gift for people to get. But oftentimes those Legos will sit unmade for like a year, but they were so desperate to get them. So the question is, which superhero is likely to either immediately make their Lego, and you could describe what Lego it would be, or who is the one who just leaves it sit in the box for a whole year before they make it?
Wow. So we get a choice. Jeez.
This is all about the power of persuasion, right?
All right. Legos. Who would build it immediately?
So do we have to do two answers or just one? Either
You
or
can pick.
both?
You just have to give your rationale.
Okay.
Jay, Chad, you guys ready?
Sure.
All right. So who gets to go first, Nicole?
We'll start with J.A.
Okay. So my answer is it would be Mastermind.
Ooh.
Jason Wingard, the Marvel evil mutant, part of the Hellfire Club. He would buy the Lego box, sit it on the shelf, but then make an illusion to show everybody that he made it.
Oh.
But he didn't actually make it. Okay.
But he didn't make it. Everyone
Gotcha.
thinks he's made it, and it's just sitting on the shelf the whole time.
He really is a bad guy.
Yeah. Those poor Legos not being
Or
built.
he's smart. He's keeping it in the box. He's, going to resell it in a few years.
Yes, exactly. When he's going to arbitrage that Millennium Falcon Star Wars thing.
I like it. All right, Chad. See if you can beat that.
So I'm going to go with the 1960s version of Professor Charles Xavier, but he's going to get the big Harry Potter Hogwarts Lego set, and it's going to be half built, but he's a school administrator, so he'd keep getting distracted, and there are a lot of pieces there, and you think, oh, this guy's not getting out very much, and, probably staying at home, commanding the X-Men all the time, has a lot of spare time, but there's a lot of paperwork there, so I think he'd be in between. He'd have a good chunk of it built, but then, I got distracted. Oh, wait, Juggernaut's come to the mansion again, and he messed up all these Legos. I gotta pick them up with my mind. I gotta put them back together, and that takes time. And then, so I think it'd be mostly built, but I think he would appreciate a nice Hogwarts set with all the little nooks and crannies, and he likes schools, and can compare mental notes with Dumbledore, that sort of thing. So that's my answer. I don't know if that's answered the scenario or not.
Very nice. Very nice. All right, Andy Pants.
Well, keeping it with the mutant temp, I'm also going to throw out a mutant, and that would be Pietro Maximoff, a.k.a. Quicksilver. And the reason why I'm going to say that he would build his Lego the fastest is because that guy doesn't like anything sitting there. No, he doesn't. He doesn't like even him sitting there. There's a wonderful issue of X-Men where he basically explains, like, why are you so angry all the time, Quicksilver? And he's like, when you stand in line behind a bunch of slow people and they're not getting their stuff done, what if that was your life all the time? Like, I can move real fast and I have to spend my time behind slow people all the time. So he would probably be like, all these slow people that don't build their Legos right away, I'm not going to be that guy. I'm going to build it real fast, put it over on the table, go and do some other stuff, drink some eggnog or something. So yes.
And do you remember in X Factor 87, which is the issue it comes from, what he called that? Pietro Maximoff syndrome. PMS.
So he has permanent PS. That's why he has to build the Legos. So yeah, Quicksilver.
All right. Well, I'm going to go point to JA because I like the whole idea of keeping the value of the Lego in the box, but then having it built out in front. I liked it.
I already feel like I'm not going to win any of them.
Well, it is hard for me to ever let you win anything.
I'm having deja vu. This
I'll
is the
move on
entire
to question
conversation
two.
with the Giant Days. So.
All right. So again, keeping with the holiday theme, which superhero is most likely to be a gift returner? We all know those people that it doesn't matter how hard you try, none of your gifts are going to be good enough, and they're going to return it to get store credit or money back.
Oh, wow. All right.
All right, Andy Pants, you get to start.
Oh, I haven't even got to think of
All
it
right,
yet.
thanks then.
Have they thought of theirs?
I've got mine.
Yeah, mine too.
Okay, yeah, I got mine. So I'm going first.
All right, Ann Pants, you go first.
So yeah, I'm going to throw out Lex Luthor because he's got everything. First and foremost, anything that you could get for him, he'd be like, "Yeah, I already have that. Yeah, I have 5 of those. I didn't need that. I didn't need that. I didn't." He's like that terrible boss that you try to buy like a Christmas gift for, and you're like.
Now, does he actually tell you that he has it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, he would really.
Opens it and it's like, oh, I already have that.
No, he would be like, no, I already have this. And he would give it to his assistant. He'd be like, return this for store credit. Because he'd rather have the money. He really would rather have the money. And he would like to shove it in your face that he is returning the thoughtful gift that you got him. So, yeah, he's a cold-hearted bastard. So, yeah, Lex Luthor all day.
Good luck returning my macaroni necklace late. You're not getting much credit for that.
All right, Chad.
Okay, so I am going to go with Felicia Hardy, a.k.a. the Black Cat. Couple of reasons. One, everyone knows the Black Cat, notorious jewel thief. You would think, oh, she'd be very excited to get these presents, would want to hold on to those things, except you forget that she has these bad luck powers. So people are constantly getting her things from the stores that you'd like them to get them from, but it's always the wrong thing. It's always the teapot that instead of stone green, it's ash gray. Instead of that nice sweater she wanted and a nice chartreuse shade, it's olive. Oh, the bad luck. Oh. And so
she has to return it.
She has, you hope you give her the gift receipt. If not, she's just going to go and steal it anyway. But it's those damnable bad luck powers biting her yet again. Poor Black Cat.
Okay. John Andrew.
So I was kind of similar to Chad, but for a different reason. I went with Selena Kyle, the cat. The reason being that she would return the gift, get the store credit, and then go back that night and steal it back because she's a thief. So she not only gets to keep the item that you gave her, she also gets credit for the item that she then steals. So she's getting it twice, the value and the item.
That one's hard to beat. Oh my gosh!
Come on,
it's hard on
Lex. You know Lex is the right answer.
So I do have to. I think I have to go with Lex Luthor only because in my mind I just keep thinking of the people I know that literally to your face let it slip out.
They're like, I'm going to be returning this,
and I'm like. Or they're like, do you have the receipt for that? So I have to give it to him for being so blatantly obvious in his intentions. So 1 point to Andy Pants.
All right, I'm on the board.
All right, Chad.
Uh-oh, the pressure's on.
Yeah, you gotta get it here. Okay, so we're moving on from the holiday gift giving and all of that, and we're moving into New Year's resolutions. Okay, because it's that time of year. So who is the most likely to keep a New Year's resolution, and what would that be?
I haven't even thought of my own New Year's resolution yet.
So who is most likely to set and then actually keep a New Year's resolution? You have to tell me what that resolution will be.
This is hard.
Am I doing okay?
You are doing awesome. I'm loving this segment.
All right, I got it.
Yeah, I got it.
All right, Chad, you've been stuck in the middle. You get to go first, my dear.
Great. So my answer is going to be simple. It's straightforward. I'm going to go with Cobra Commander, who's going to resolve to take over the United States of America. And because every G.I. Joe story ends up with the bad guys winning for some time, he's destined to do it, only to screw it up 3 issues later. And so I think it's a no-brainer. Cobra Commander can build some sort of weather device, some sort of death ray, could take the place of disgraced senators. Some way he's going to take over the United States and gain that power, only to inevitably lose it to Snake Eyes or Spirit or that dastardly Duke at some point.
All right. Interesting. I had never heard of that character before. I guess I'm not
Cobra Commander?
All right. We'll turn it over to the first Andrew in the Larson Scott family, J.A.
I'm going to go with Superman. And his New Year's resolution will be to not swear, which of course he will keep, because New Year's resolutions, people who keep New Year's resolutions tend to be quite square, and there's nobody more squarer than Superman. Truth, justice, and the American way, and all that stuff. Blah! I like people who break their promises, at least their New Year's resolutions, like, I'm not going to drink anymore, I'm not going to smoke, I'm not going to have sex with chains. I don't know.
Oh my.
Holy moly. Took a turn.
He can't stop laughing. He should get a point just for going.
Making himself laugh?
No, for stopping breathing for a few seconds. He's going for his art.
But so the thing is, did Superman did he swear before? Because when the resolution...
I don't know. He must have sworn once. He did. He would have done it once. It would have been out of character. So he made a resolution that he'll never do it again. And of course he didn't. Because Superman is boring.
I see. Okay. All right, Andrew.
Well, it seems like the Andrews were having a similar thought process, but I will debate that there is somebody even more square than Superman, and that is Steve Rogers, Captain America. That's right. If you're going to think of somebody, red, white, and blue, the guy that eats all his vegetables, drinks his milk, he's going to be the one that will make a New Year's resolution to be a better person. You know what I mean? Not to say that he's not already freaking perfect, but he would meet the one say, like, you know what? I have not been running my 16 miles a day as hard as I really could. So I'm going to do a little bit better. Shouldn't we all do a little bit better? Isn't that the American dream? Just do slightly better this year. Everybody can get behind that. It's the Captain America Physical Fitness Challenge. And I'm here, brother, to say we all should do it. So it's the Captain America. Yeah, he's a square. Like, he keeps those promises much more than Superman. Superman he doesn't even let people know who he is. He's got to hide behind those glasses. At least Captain America, he knows. That's America's ass.
Oh, yeah!
Listen, Cobra Commander can handle both of these jamokes. Take over the world, then screw it up 3 issues later. Telling you.
Who wins?
I hate to give you another point, but you have the most motivational...
That's right!
I have to give it to Andrew.
Freaking
It's just based on the number of salutes that Andrew did.
I didn't bring up chains.
Oh my golly. Very good, gentlemen. So Andrew is ahead with 2. So we have 2 more scenarios left. So you guys got to kind of bring it. I don't want my husband to win.
Wow, you're a Lex Luthor on this. Just throwing it out there. I don't want him to win.
No, I could still win.
The chains.
Superman busting his chains.
Oh, that's true. John Andrew could still win. Okay. So in the same thread of New Year's resolutions, who is most likely to actually hit the gym and get back into shape after New Year's? Or who is still hoarding the cookies?
Who's hitting the gym? Who's getting fat? Oh, boy.
Who's saying F it?
That's right. I got mine.
Who's actually going back to the gym?
Nobody's going back to the gym.
And then letting the money...
None of our listeners,
draft,
that's for sure.
Just letting the money auto-draft out of their account for the next 15 years. Going.
Jay, you got one? All right.
Andrew, you can go first.
Oh, well... Keeping it within Marvel Comics and mutants because I seem to like that. I'm going to go with the Blob because the Blob is huge. He's massive. He's all fat. He is the immovable object. Why would he go on to die? That's his whole thing. His whole thing is like, I'm big and you can't move me. So give me some more ho-hos, some more Oreos. I will not hit a gym. The only way I will hit a gym is if I run into it and smash through a wall because I cannot be stopped. So the Blob. Heck yeah. What's his name? Frank Dukes?
The Blob has a name?
Yeah. I think it's Frank Dukes.
Is it actually a person?
Oh, yeah. He's a real person.
Interesting. I just thought he would be like slime.
No.
Okay.
He wears a unitard.
That's good.
He's very charming.
Does he have underwear on? Just curious.
Any case.
Never seen it before.
I think he was in a diaper in his first appearance.
Ooh. A slimy diaper. Yikes. All right, John Andrew.
I think I stole J.A.'s answer.
He did. It's Fred Dukes, not Frank Dukes. Frank Dukes is the guy from Bloodsport. I was going to go with the Blob because that is a great answer. But someone who would definitely hit the gym would be the Silver Surfer, Space Jesus. But not only would he hit the gym, he would also have to he would do the whole thing. He would do the psychotherapy, the physical therapy. He'd be talking to a mental health specialist. Something would go wrong over New Year's that he would then spend a whole year processing, going through a cycle to try to get back to being the Silver Surfer, because that's always the Silver Surfer shtick. And I'm not going to get into the whole having a person fly around with the board on you because now you're suddenly Doctor Who in space.
All right, enough of the Dan Slottage.
All right, Chad.
Okay, so who would resolve to go to the gym and stick with it and start eating right for reasons similar to what Jay was saying? Somebody who would need to get themselves in the proper mental and physical state to be in control at all times. I'm going to go with Bruce Banner, a.k.a. the Hulk. And through his diet and exercise regimen, he would continue to work and get slimmer and slimmer and healthier. But everyone knows the slimmer and healthier you get, the angrier and hangrier you get. In which case, he would then become the Hulk and then just go smash. Just go smash.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's right. Smash that burger.
All right. Well, as a girl who has gone on many a diet, I can fully empathize with the hangriness, and so Hulk wins.
Nice.
All right.
The hangry hippos. I hear you, Bruce. I hear you. All righty. So we are on to number 5.
Last question.
Also happening in 2024, we have a new installment of the Summer Olympics happening in Paris later this year. So which comic book character would you choose to be the primetime broadcast commentator for the Summer Olympic Games coming up later this year?
Oh. All right, I've got my answer.
Yeah, me too.
She's not going to know who this, so I have to do a lot of explaining. But
you always do a lot of explaining.
That is my shtick.
Shoot, I'm not.
But who's going first this time?
I'm going to let J.A. go first. I think you haven't gone. I haven't really kept good track, but I do like how Chad has been supplying a visual aid.
Well, that's his shtick.
Okay.
So John Andrew, who would be your main broadcaster?
Well, the Olympics is all about all these different sports happening at the same time, especially the track and field events. You've got like 5 or 6 events on the ground happening at the same time in rapid motion. It's hard for one person to cover all that unless you are Jamie Madrox, the multiple man, and you can make clones of yourself. So he would be the best broadcaster to cover all this because he could just multiply out and cover every event live in real time.
Okay, good answer. Okay. So he's not only the main person at the desk at the show, he's also
everyone.
He's
yes,
everyone. Okay.
He's everyone. He could even be. I mean, he could even do the camera and the sound and the Foley.
This would save on salary for sure. I mean, NBC would really love that. So, all right, Chad.
Okay, so for good commentary, you need someone who's familiar with the activities, right? You need somebody with a flair for the dramatic, and you need somebody who all around isn't afraid to say what needs to be said. And so I'm going to go with someone who has the physical prowess, who is familiar with all the underwater sports and activities that the Summer Olympics provides, and someone who looks damn good in bikini swim shorts. I'm going to go with Namor the Submariner, who is such a catty bitch. He would be great on commentary.
So he would be cutting into the athletes, like giving them crap if they didn't do good enough? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, he knows how to be critical, cut them to the quick if he needed to, but he would look good on camera. He would sound good. He would know what he's talking about.
Would
he's
he
a
wear
master
a suit
of his
or would
craft.
he wear a swimsuit?
It depends on the event.
Ah.
Depends on the occasion. He's Namor the Submariner, King of Atlantis.
Okay. Wow. I didn't expect to see a man in a Speedo, but I guess I should have. It's the Summer Olympics.
That's true. It's very true.
All right, Andy Pants.
So initially I was going to say Howard Cosell because he was a comic book character in Superman versus Muhammad Ali. He makes so he was there, but I was like, the guys are going to give me shit for that. So I can't do it. So instead I'm going to go with the ultimate pitchman in the universe. And that would be Funky Flashman! That's right, Jack Kirby's parody of Stan Lee that he made for Mr. Miracle, one of the New Gods, immortal, timeless, but he had all that gusto and bravado that Stan Lee, he could be like, hey, kids, we're going to get down to trackside. And you know what Stan Lee did for comics? Just think of that if he did that for the Summer Olympics. It would be great. It would be great. You know that he would be there. This is Stan Lee. Hey. It's like having me on the Olympics. Come on.
That might be a little too much for everybody.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know about your guy, but now I'm a little torn between Chad and J.A. So, John Andrew, your guy can do a lot. He can be in a lot of different places, but can he bring the personality? I don't know a lot about him. Is he gonna bring it like Namor would? Because
you're just looking at the Speedo.
I'm not even looking.
Yeah,
no,
that's what they all say.
Thanks, but Chad's now showing me Namor, and he really
stop showing thirst trap Namor photos.
Make your decision.
Fight for your answer. I need more information. Oh, well,
what you're getting with Madrox is you're just getting a lot of him.
You're just getting economy. Okay. Well,
yes, economy of scale.
Then it has to go to Chad.
Imperious Rex, baby. Imperious Rex.
You know what? That is quite a chin. He's got quite a jawline. That's pretty good. I like it. And the abs.
Yes.
He's got
jawline. That's what she's looking at.
I just wondered what I did when I made that sound. I was making the triangle that is a male swimmer, the shoulders going down to that little tiny bitty waist.
Any case.
All right. So we do have a tiebreaker because both Chad and Andrew have 2 points each. So I'm going to recruit John Andrew to help me evaluate you guys. So we will come up with a decision. But, okay, so we're going to go back to the holidays. So I want you to pick a comic book character and tell me what their favorite holiday movie is and why.
Wow. Yes. Okay, fine. I got mine.
Chad, are you?
Yeah, I got one.
J.A., you pick who gets to go first.
Chad should go first.
Damn it. Okay.
He's still obsessed. He's still looking through the Namor photos. I can see.
Yeah. Put the Namor half-naked pictures down, Chad. It's a family show.
Namor got you to the final.
They don't call them thirst traps for nothing. Anyway, so I'm going to go with Aunt May as my character. And what is her favorite Christmas movie or holiday movie? I'm going to go with The White Christmas, where they sing and they dance, and it's a little bit racist.
That's Holiday Inn.
Holiday Inn. Holiday Inn is the one I meant.
And it's not just a little racist. There's a whole part of it
blatantly
racist.
But it's very old, and elderly folks like
old.
Aunt May would really enjoy it. So that's my pick.
All right, Andrew.
Wow. I got to follow Aunt May, and you know what? I'm just going to flat out say it. Sue Storm. Her favorite movie is The Nutcracker. Because if you've ever been around a comic book with her and Reed Richards, that's pretty much what she does to Reed all the time. Cracks his nuts.
Oh.
It was.
We gotta wrap up this show. Make a decision.
Oh goodness! All right, Jay.
I think Andrew doesn't win.
That's always.
You know what? Chad wins everything. All right, Chad is the winner. Way to go, Chad. Hey.
Thank you, Aunt May. I bet she would appreciate Namor.
And you know what? Even more so, Chad came from behind.
You're just thinking of Namor coming from behind.
Oh!
All right. all the time we have for Last Comic Shop for this week. I'm the host with the most, Andy Larson. I'm joined by Chad Smith, Jay Scott, and the wonderful Nicole Larson. Remember that we will be back next week with an interview with the awesome Kyle Starks to kick off our second show of our 4th season. We're not jumping the shark, folks. We'll be here for a lot more. Rate, review, and subscribe over at www.lastcomicshoppodcast.com. And remember to stay safe, stay warm, and if you see Namor in a Speedo, make sure that you send pictures to Chad. Because he'll
appreciate it. I mean, he's really well sculpted. I mean, it's game recognizing game. I mean, nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it.
He's a tall drink of water. Slurp that up.
The Last Comic Shop podcast was a 2024 Black Angus production.